Welcome to Stephon Marbury's world, his country, his team, the Chinese dream. We'll speak to the man behind the scenes. Let's go. Stephon Marbury, we are so excited to have you on our broadcast. Thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule to speak to us.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, Stephon, for the uninitiated, I want you to tell us where Stephon is right now, what he's about, and what he's doing in China.
Well, I've been in China for the last 13 years. I played in the NBA for 13 years, and I've coached here for the this is my 4th season as a head coach here for the the Beijing Royal Fighters. Sponsored by the group is Beikun, the company that I work for. I played for Shanxi for 1 year. I played in Foshan for 1 year. I played for the Beijing Ducks for 6 years, and I played for the team that I'm coaching right now currently. They were the Fly Dragons, now Beikun Royal Fighters. So I played 9 seasons here. Coach, been living here, love China. Been a great experience leaving the NBA, coming here. Never thought that I would be here for 13 years.
Yep.
Was just coming here to play and
Yep.
to see what could possibly happen, and ended up staying here.
Right. Stephon, you know, I'm so surprised about what I see about China. It's amazing. I never thought I'll see all this when I came to China. Before you came here, talk to us about the biggest misconception about China.
You know, it's like any place when people go to different countries, you know, coming here for me, you know, it was completely different. I wasn't culture shocked.
Yeah.
You know, I think it was trials that I had from the language barrier and, you know, getting used to the food, experiencing something totally different. But, you know, the people here are very friendly, very hospitable, caretakers, you know, and it's like any place. You got good people, bad people all over. Like in America, it's good people there, it's bad people there, same as anywhere.
Right.
But I think a big misconception is how people don't really know how nice the Chinese people are. They're really, really good people.
Right. And you speak the language now, Stephon?
A little bit. In Tintien, I speak a little bit, not a lot. You know, that's probably one of my biggest flaws, and one of the things I wish I would have done was learn the language right away when I first got here, but relying on translators all the time, it definitely hindered me.
Right. I just have to point out to our audience that Stephon came complete with his trend-setting, iconic Starbury tattoo. Is a beautiful look. I got to ask you, that tattoo, was that pre-Mike Tyson or post-Mike Tyson? And
this is before people start doing any of those things that they're doing to their heads and their faces. I mean, I did mine because, you know, I felt like, you know, my brand is mine. It's something that I embodied, and something that I have a big love for, and trying to, basically my brand is to try to create access for people at an affordable price.
That's about to say.
Yeah, and so when I put my tattoo on my head, a lot of people was like, oh, he's crazy, why would he do something like that? But, you know, it's mine. It's like if Phil Knight went and did something like that, that wouldn't be surprising to a lot of people for him to have a tattoo. I'm culture, I'm hip, I'm into, you know, I'm street, I'm a variety of different things. I'm business, I'm casual, I'm all of those different things. So I think for me, you know, when I put my tattoo on my head, you know, it was another way for me to express my brand. It was another way for people to be able to know what my brand was about, and, you know, and it was recognition from playing in the NBA. You're always on TV. you always in pictures so people got a chance to see, part of my marketing strategy and allowing people to know, what my brand was about.
So that's pre-Mike Tyson. So it's safe to say that Mike Tyson got inspired by what he saw.
I'm not gonna say that that's what he got inspired by, but I know the guys before and after who had it and who didn't have it, and I know the the complaints I've gotten because when I did that, some brands didn't like that. I was playing in the NBA and I was getting a lot of publicity from having a tattoo on my head with my logo.
Right, Stephon, I got to talk about. You just mentioned it. Your love for the people, that consciousness of helping people, and it shows in your brand, Starbury. I call it universal, affordable access to athletic footwear for all of mankind. What's the genesis behind that, and why do you care so much?
Well, I come from the projects. I grew up poor, but never thought that I was poor because of the way my parents treated us. I think poor is a mindset and a mind frame. I think for us, our attitude was, we just didn't have a lot of money. But we had a lot of love, and I think for me creating my brand and giving people the opportunity to buy shoes for $14.98, as I said, it was purely about creating access. For me not being able to have and not being able to go spend $150, $200 on Jordan sneakers, I wanted to give kids that opportunity. I wanted to give families that opportunity to be able to go to the store and purchase sneakers at an affordable price. The same shoes that I was selling for $14.98, I was going on the NBA court and I was playing in.
You were playing with Starburys?
Yeah, I was playing in my shoes, the same shoes that I was selling. I was playing in those same exact shoes. Like I literally went to the store, picked up a pair of shoes, brought the shoes to the Garden, Madison Square Garden, and I put them on and start hooping on the NBA court. And I thought it was important for kids to see that so they'll know, not only the value in it, but that shoes don't cost that much to make. And for me, it was important to be able to allow kids to be able to go to the store and purchase shoes on their own, not needing their parents to buy them shoes. They were able to do that on their own with their own little savings from the allowances that they made received from their parents or from their brothers, loved ones, anyone.
So when I think about that, when I think of Stephon Marbury and his concept, for me, and I'm sure a lot of people agree with me, that's beyond Hall of Fame. That's in the realm of Nobel Peace Prize right there.
I mean, I went on Oprah for it, and before I went on Oprah talking about my shoes, I was speaking and talking to people, telling them, I was like, it's a humane story. When people was like, why are you selling shoes for this price? You could sell shoes for way more. And I was like, it's not about the selling the shoes, it's about giving the people the opportunity to purchase something at an affordable price. And creating that access and giving people that opportunity, it changed people's lives. If you go back to date, from all of the data, I sold more shoes than Michael Jordan during the times that I was selling my shoes because it was the price was affordable and people were able to go into the store and not only buy shoes for $14.98, but they were able to buy clothes for $14.98 or less. So $10, $6, $8. It was all different price points.
So Africa definitely could do with that type of pricing. Do you have any ambitions or vision of coming to Africa and getting your shoes out there?
Not only do I would love to do that, but I would love to just go and visit the motherland. I haven't been, which I'm a little ashamed that I haven't, but I still got time. I still got time to do so. But I will be there. I will go. I will visit. And if I could bring my brand in and be able to bring that same affordability to the people there, I would be more than happy to do that.
When you talk about the pricing of shoes, I read one of your tweets. You're very outspoken. You're a very outspoken person. The tweet went like this: $200 shoes that costs about $5 to make. Do you frown upon that type of profit that some of these companies are making?
I mean, I just look at it as it's a way to do things, and I feel like, people can buy what they want to buy. But when kids are getting killed for shoes, that's when I got a problem. I got an issue with that. And, when I look at Michael Jordan shoes, and when I first saw that one kid got killed and shot over a pair of Jordans, I mean, I'm just thinking about my mom burying me or burying one of my brothers because of a pair of Michael Jordan shoes. Now, and it's not a knock on Michael Jordan or Nike. It's a knock on the fact that that happened.
Right.
And there was no change after that. It was more of like, well, that wasn't my problem. That's not my issue. So I had an issue with that. And knowing that shoes don't cost that much, especially living in China.
Especially living in China.
Especially living in China, I know the price point on how much it costs to make a pair of shoes.
And that brings me to my next question. In hindsight, when you came to China, was it all about basketball, or was it business in the back of your mind?
When I first came to China, I was coming here, like, at this time I was depressed. I was, not playing in the NBA. I had just lost my dad. My dad passed away, so I wasn't in a space to play basketball or do anything during this time. And, it had came about for me to play basketball in China, and I was like, China? It's like, that's far. That was my thought. Like, that's a far place to go to play basketball. And then one of my friends was like, yo, they got like 300 million people that play basketball?
I remember your famous quote.
And I was like,
that's 300 million people. That's more than people living and breathing in North America.
I was like, yeah, that's more people living in America than, I was like, that's crazy. I couldn't believe that. So, they was like, with your brand, you can, relaunch your brand. So I was like, all right, well, it was something to think about. Of course, me being able to relaunch my brand and sell shoes here in China would be great. But, the fact that at that time, basketball really wasn't something that I was really focused on because of how I was feeling.
Yeah.
It became something that I thought about. And about a month later, I decided to come here. And then when I came here, it wasn't even about my brand anymore. It was about playing ball. It was about, my life was changing.
Yeah.
And what I was experiencing as a human being, I was starting to grow, and I was starting to heal within myself. Right. My mom, she said, China is far, but God is everywhere. So, when I thought about it, she was like, you always gonna be covered, you always gonna be covered by the blood, so you're gonna be good no matter where you go, no matter if it's 7,000 miles away or if it's here. Yeah. So when I made that decision to come here, and I stayed my first year and I came back my second year, people were like, are you really gonna stay in China? You're not gonna come back to the NBA? And then I came here to Beijing, and then we won the first championship.
With which team?
With Beijing Ducks.
Okay.
We won right here in this building in 2012. And then we won the championship. After we won the championship, then they immortalized me. They built this statue. And then I was like, there's no way that I could leave China after this. And I've been here for 13 years.
And you've been tempted because after you found success here, the Houston Rockets called you back, right?
Yeah, the Rockets, Kevin McHale reached out to me to come back and play. And I was like, nah. And my business manager, he was like, man, what are you doing? Like, you could go back to making making $20 million a year.
Darn.
And I was like, and at that time when we won, I was making probably like $800,000 US, $900,000 US dollars. I wasn't really making that much money compared to how much money, I was making in the NBA. But I had found my peace, and I found my peace within myself. So it wasn't about money anymore. It was more about how I felt. And once you find your peace, once you lose yourself, and you're depressed, and you're in a space where, you're desolate, you're just stuck in the bed. Right. I was in that space after my father had passed away, and for some time. And when I came here and all of these different things started to happen, I was like, I could feel my life changing. I felt I was being reborn, and within myself, I couldn't pass that up for money.
So basically China saved you in a sense.
For sure. It definitely helped save my life. For sure, 100%.
And you love China, China loves you. Sometimes when I looked over your profile, I get the feeling that if there was a past life that you were Chinese.
Yeah, so many people say that to me.
I saw a mini spoof that you did. You're speaking of Chinese with some potato chips or something, right? And you look Chinese. It felt like you were Chinese, right?
So many people say that.
And then another thing, I noticed the interviews also, especially during the COVID time. This was the epicenter of COVID. And I noticed when they were talking to you about China, you had a sense of defense for China. It seemed as if you were protective of China, especially around media circles. You feel the need to defend China at any time?
I felt the need to be able to express what was going on where I was living at. It wasn't so much about China. I live here. This is my home. So for me, knowing the situation and being here and how they were controlling the pandemic and what measures they were taking, it's 30 million people here. It's 1.3 billion people in China. There's no way China can operate the same way it operates in America or operates in Africa. It's two different places, as far as how they had to handle and combat the virus. So me being here and experiencing all of what I was experiencing, I was speaking from that space, not from the space of I'm protecting China or I'm speaking and fighting for China because of I love China. It had nothing to do with that. My love for China is my love for China. But my expression towards what was going on and what was happening here during the time that I was here living during this time, I spoke up about that.
All right. I want to congratulate you for finding the perfect self-expression in yourself for basketball here in China. But you know what's scary? I feel that China didn't even get primetime Stephon. They didn't even get primetime Stephon. What would have happened if you played here in your prime when you were dropping 50s and 40s in the NBA?
This is the craziest thing. And some people say I'm lying or I'm making stuff up, but I played my best basketball here in this arena. I played some of my best games I've had, probably my best career, as a basketball player, being complete, being polished, understanding the game, knowing how to play the game in complete form, from utilizing what I experienced in the NBA, using the NBA as my platform and as a stepping stone to be better here, which, the NBA was like my university, and then this became my professional atmosphere, my professional playground, where I was able to play and excel on a level where I was elite in the way how I played because of my training. My training was different. I was practicing 5.5 hours a day. I never did that before.
Really? You going on a record to say that your best basketball
was in China? My best basketball was in China. It's not even
here.
It's not even close. Not even close. Like, as far as how I felt within myself, my focus, my understanding, like my decision making, everything was crystal clear because my mind was empty. I was able to really be formless on the court. I was able to really move like water when I was on the court, like moving with that swift speed and precision and knowing my spots on the court, playing the game the way how the game is supposed to be played, but at an elite level. And people think China is easy. They don't know that it's harder here than in the NBA.
I wanted to ask
I try to express why. I tell them, they say, how can you say that? I'm like, dude, when you play basketball and FIBA rules, and NBA rules are completely different because the NBA has their own rules and it's man-to-man. And China is FIBA rules, so that means that the middle of the paint is clogged up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you can't just drive down the middle and just score. You got to know how to score, and you got to be quick. You got to be fast. You got to be strong to be able to do that. So it's a big difference.
Stephon, I'm going to go off script because I'm talking to Stephon. I don't know when I'm going to talk to him again. So I'm going to ask a question I want to ask. Now, that's going to bring me to my next question. 2004, the Olympics. The America the Great, the greatest country when it comes to basketball, playing the Olympics against quote-unquote unknown people and struggling. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, you know, when you play in a FIBA system, everyone has to be on the same page, and from top down, from the coach down, everybody wasn't on the same page. I think they picked the wrong coach to coach the dream team.
Okay, but so what? Basketball is basketball. You're all-stars. You're all-stars.
It's not. No, it's not, because right. If we're building this building right here, and you don't have the right informant to basically tell everybody what to do and how to do what they're supposed to do and what they need to do, right? If it can't be spoken and talked in a way where everybody can be on the same page, it's not gonna work. It's gonna come out messy.
Right.
And that's what it was. It was messy. It wasn't the way how we should have played basketball. I think, you know, Larry Brown was coaching us as if it was his team instead of coaching the team as if it was the United States team. It was the dream team.
Fair enough. But guess what? In 2006, the same thing happened again.
Not in the Olympics.
Not in the World Championship setting. But I got to ask the question.
And it wasn't the best players.
They were pretty good.
They wasn't the best players.
It was.
Our group was the best players.
LeBron James was there. D.
Group,
Wade was there. Chris Paul was there. Dwight Howard was there.
I mean, they lost. I'm not gonna make any excuses and say that we couldn't be beaten. I will say that internationally it's gotten better. You know, the world stage is better than what they were before. If you put the world, I think like they posed to have the world versus the players from America. I think if you put those guys, Embiid, Luka Doncic, you know, the Greek Freak, you put all of these guys on one team, and all of the guys that the kids Shea from Oklahoma City, those guys are pretty good going up, and the Joker, putting all of those guys on one team versus LeBron and Kevin Durant and all of the guys that's from America. I think that game would be different.
Okay.
It'd be hard.
This is my last question on that, but I'm going to fast forward to 2008, where they had the Redeem Team. Why am I sitting at the edge of my seat when I've got the Redeem Team on one side and a group of players that are not considered all-stars on the other side? Why am I at the edge of my seat in the last 2 minutes thinking that the U.S. might win, they might lose? That doesn't make sense to me. I thought an all-star is a superstar. Can you enlighten us?
The game internationally has grown. It's not like how it was before, where guys overseas that play overseas that come to play in the NBA are not as developed as the guys that played before. I think guys on a different level now.
Okay.
Internationally, I mean, it's grown. It's way better. So it's respect to them. It's kudos to them for them, you know, raising their level of play all over the world. Basketball is really growing. It's really changing, as we can see.
I'm going to come back to that. But then let's talk about Africans in basketball. Are Africans welcomed in China as far as basketball is concerned?
I mean, I think everyone is welcome. I think, for me personally, from what I've seen, I think if you can play, no matter where you go, you're going to have an opportunity.
Okay, so that brings me to my next question. In terms of skill set, what would African players seeking to play professionally need to do the Stephon Marbury here and get recognized and get applauded for their performance?
You got to do work. You know, you come here, you get the opportunity. That's first. You got to get the opportunity. And I think now more than ever, not only here, I think in other places, every player, international players are getting opportunities to play basketball in different leagues. You see them in Philippines, you know, you see Europe. I mean, it's happening where guys are getting those chances to play. But I think in China, it's really a small net of players that really get that opportunity, because a lot of the guys who have played in China, they usually come back or they go to different teams because teams are familiar with them. But this year and last year, this is the most I've seen different players coming in, going to different teams. So I think it really just comes down to the connection, but more importantly, what you're doing on that scale where you're playing at and how you're dominated. And if you have dominance, I think that they will find you.
Okay, and the Basketball Africa League. We're talking about Africa now, the development and the profile of the game in Africa. How do you think the Basketball Africa League will set out, and will it help Africans?
I've seen some videos. I can't say I'm too familiar with what's going on. I know it's a new league going on. I saw Adam there. I saw some pictures from, what's been going on there. One of the guys that worked for NBA China, he moved to Africa to run NBA Africa. So for me personally, I need to be there to see. And when I'm able to see and look, I'll be able to really know and be able to recognize right away.
Right. The old adage goes like, it's easier to be struck by lightning than to play in the NBA.
I mean, I told my son the other day, I said, there's how many billions, 6 billion people here? I said, let's just say 500, 600 million people that play basketball, just play. And let's break it down. I said, in the NBA, every year there are only 30 teams. So there's 30 picks. Really, somebody got to leave the NBA and then 30 to make room for 30 new guys. So that little room, we can fit 30 people right here and sit down. So, and then you got the whole world trying to sit in this little area right here. So it's hard. It's hard. You really gotta put in a lot of work. You gotta be blessed. You gotta have the tools to be able to get on the court to play at that high level. You gotta be, I say, consistent and efficient. If you're consistent and efficient and you got the game and the skills, you always got a chance.
So do you think Africa is overlooked in the recruiting process when you consider the fact that I just mentioned it's easier to be struck by lightning than to play in the NBA, but we got guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo of Nigerian descent. We've got Pascal Siakam, Joel Embiid, Hakeem Olajuwon, Mutombo, Serge Ibaka. These are players that are not just passing time into the NBA; they are Hall of Famers and possible Hall of Famers. Isn't that something to celebrate?
Yeah, I mean, it's super big. I mean, when you start right from the dream, all the way down to Embiid, when you look at these guys and you see these guys, they're game changers. They're not just guys that are playing in the NBA or played in the NBA. These are guys that have changed the game. So I think as time continues, I mean, basketball is not going nowhere. It's going to be here when we're gone, and our kids and kids. It's not going anywhere. It's going to continue to develop.
Right. And then, we've got to talk about the GOAT situation. We can't have a segment without having a GOAT.
Michael Jordan.
Yep. I want to know from Stephon Marbury, put it on record on CGTN.
Michael Jordan.
LeBron or Michael, who's the GOAT? And does LeBron have the right to be considered the GOAT?
I don't, me personally, Jordan has never lost in the finals. He's 6-0. I don't.
But Stephon,
I don't look.
Stephon.
I don't look at. I think LeBron James is a great basketball player. I think he's probably one of the greatest all-around basketball players to ever play. But I'll put it like this: you ask me a question, I ask you a question. Game 7. 6 seconds left. Down by 1. Who you giving the basketball to, Jordan, or are you giving the ball to LeBron to take the last shot?
I'll give it to Jordan. I'll give it to Jordan. But you know what, Stephon, after talking to you and analyzing what we've been analyzing, a few questions come to mind. It's becoming apparently clear that what makes a team great is the coaching staff, the organization.
100%.
All right?
100%.
We got 100 people who can score 40 points if you give them the opportunity. Okay? LeBron, he did it with multiple teams, multiple coaches, multiple situations. Can you give me evidence that Michael Jordan could have won a title pre Phil Jackson? And could you give me evidence he could have won a title post Phil Jackson?
I use what his accolades are from him winning championships. Yeah, that's one part. But I don't think LeBron James is a better basketball player than Michael
Who's
Jordan.
the most complete basketball player? Let's put it like that.
I mean, I would say LeBron is probably the most complete. He's probably the best all-around basketball player to ever play basketball. I don't think there'll ever be a basketball player to ever be as complete. But I don't think he's a better basketball player than Michael Jordan. I don't think skill set wise, I don't think he's a better basketball player. I don't think he plays the game with the same type of understanding as Michael Jordan.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so.
With 4 other guys on the court, you're telling me that Michael has a better IQ with 4 other guys on the court than LeBron would with 4 other guys?
Michael Jordan's IQ is beyond. It's infinite and beyond.
Really? I'll take it from you. I got to defer to you on that. Yes?
I mean, LeBron plays at 6'8", 280 pounds.
Right.
Michael Jordan is 6'6", 215, 220.
Okay.
It's two different like dynamics on a basketball court from. I mean, shooting wise, I mean, LeBron, this is his 20th season. And when you look at LeBron James, when you look at him shooting the basketball, just recently, people stopped going under pick and rolls on LeBron James.
Okay.
Would you ever go under a pick and roll on Michael Jordan or Kobe? No, you would never. I mean, it's a conversation and it's a debate about Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant.
But I want to squash. I want to squash this. I want to squash this on CGTN.
Obviously, you like LeBron.
No, I'm an analyst, so I got it. Truth has to be spoken.
I don't think LeBron is better than Kobe.
You know what? Let me just say this. I'm gonna go off script. I got to get this on record. I think LeBron is better than Kobe, and I think he is better than Michael Jordan. And let me tell you why.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, and 3 years into the NBA, he was in the finals. It took Kobe and them quite a while to get to the finals. Same thing with Michael Jordan. At 18 years old, he was a starter. Kobe was on the bench at 18. Michael, of course, got cut. He went to North Carolina. He played with a Hall of Fame coach. LeBron never had a Hall of Fame coach, okay? LeBron did it with multiple teams. He's the highest scorer in the NBA to date. My question is, could Kobe have done it without Phil Jackson? What evidence do we have of that? Could Michael have done it without Phil Jackson? What evidence do we have of that?
Well, we can't. We only could go off of what happened. We can't go off if or what could have. We only could go about what happened.
Pre-Phil Jackson, was Michael close to a championship?
But we can't say that though. We only could go. We only could speak on things that went on.
We're talking about Michael's mind now. Post Phil Jackson.
Michael Jordan's mind on the basketball court is different. It's nobody ever.
Michael Jordan is a general manager. Is he going to win anything? As a president of basketball operations, as the owner of Bobcat, is he going to win? I'm talking about his mind now. I'm talking
about basketball.
Yeah, but I mean, we've analyzed the court. Now we analyze off the court. His basketball mind.
We could talk about that at the pizza place.
Okay. All right. So I just need to get that in there. Okay. So we're going to round up here, but Stephon, I want to congratulate you for this amazing achievement. You've created the pathway for others to follow. You created the path instead of following the trail. When guys can't play in the NBA, you know what they're thinking now? I want to do the Stephon Marbury in China, or I want to do the Stephon Marbury in Europe. You created that, my friend, and we're proud of you, and we can't wait to see you in Africa. We got some more questions for you at the Pizza Hut. Thank you, sir.
Not Pizza Hut, Joe's Pizza.
Joe's Pizza.
Number 1 pizza in Beijing. Okay, it was good seeing you guys.
Okay, Stephon, thanks again for lending your time to CGTN.
Thank you for having me.
I gotta ask you, we're hearing reports that you were granted a green card, one of the only foreign players to be granted a green card. What does that mean?
It means a lot. Having a green card creates huge access. I didn't have no idea what having a green card, what the benefits were before I got it. And then when I started to learn about it, I was like, oh, this is really useful to be able to have something like this. One, the recognition from the government and them showing the respect and the honor for what was accomplished in playing basketball here. So that little orange basketball created that avenue for me to be able to have something so significant, and me being able to come in and out of the country freely without needing to get a visa. That's really that can become a hassle getting a visa coming back and forth to China. Being able to buy a house, to be able to buy a car here in Beijing, whereas only the local people here in Beijing can do so, whereas people that aren't from Beijing aren't able to do that. So being able to receive such a high honor was high praise for me.
Okay, I want to explore that idea a little more. You're telling me they gave you a green card because you won 3 championships, or because they saw you as an ambassador and they saw you loving this country and this country loving you back and you becoming an iconic figure. That one makes more sense.
Yes, that's what happened. In detail, my contribution towards the sport, my contribution towards a game that they love here, which so many people play the game, that definitely put me in a position to be able to receive such a high honor.
You can't duplicate
And the love,
that.
no. I mean,
They can see that you love them.
they know
right?
that I love.
They know that.
I don't have to. Yeah, I don't have to. No one would never question my love and my passion for basketball here, for the people here, for how I was treated here is how I treat people. I basically live by the golden rule, and when my mom says, treat people the way you want to be treated. Right. And the way how they've treated me is the same way that I treat them.
Okay, so again, this is home for you, Stephon.
Mm-hmm. This is home.
You have everything you want here in China.
This is home. This is home. My life is set here. America is home as well. I mean, that's always home. That's home first.
But it seems that you've created your own home within home. We're sitting in a restaurant that's very New Yorkish.
Yes.
This reminds you of New York?
This is definitely a reminder of New York. It's Joe's Pizza. It's a pizza place that is widely famous in
Joe's
America.
Pizza in China, in
Joe's
Beijing.
Pizza in Beijing is Joe's Pizza in New York, the original on Carmine Street, in New York City, Manhattan, and that's what we're sitting at. It has that same type of feel, that same ambiance.
Mm-hmm. So I talked of duplication. Can someone else do what you've done? You have many colleagues, ex-friends in the U.S. and in Africa. You think they can come and ingratiate themselves the way you've done, or does it take a special kind of alignment or harmony with the people to make this thing happen?
I think you can definitely create a success here. It's definitely a success story. But I've been told the things that have been done here and what I've been able to accomplish from playing basketball, but not just playing basketball, have been only one of one. There's nobody else that they foreseen doing such things, and the government taking the liking that they've taken. I really said, but what I like to say is I came at the right time. I needed China and China needed me. So it kind of worked.
Right, there it is. You knew China before COVID, and now we're in China after COVID.
Yes.
What's the difference? And are we back to normal?
Yes, we're definitely back to normal.
We're back to normal.
We're back to normal. It's back to life.
Okay.
Even just traveling, which it was like one of the main, sticklers for, going in and out of the country with the quarantine. At one time it was 21 days, then it went to 28 days, staying in a room, and one room for almost a month it was kind of crazy, but I understood why. Mm-hmm. And I think, for myself, being able to have that experience, it gave me another level of understanding about China and experiencing something that was very challenging, not only for myself, but for all of the people here in China and for people all over the world. So it's something that I was able um, to go through with
Okay.
everyone else.
Let's talk about Africa again, the Africa segment. Stefan, I know you haven't been to Africa, but you know what it takes to have a successful league. You know what it takes for basketball to be high profile. What suggestions would you give to the continent of Africa? What would you say they need to get ready or get in place for basketball to actually expand and blow up without even being there? What would you say we needed to put in place?
Um, I know rugby is a really big sport, soccer. I think if they took the mind frame that they have for those sports and started to create concept and started to have the people who have that same type of passion and that same energy towards those sports for basketball, and they can utilize those type of people such as yourself, who's a competitor, who love the game, and if you can formulate these type of people and put them together and socially, reach out to the demographic of players and people who enjoy the sport and start trying to get people to understand that this sport is going to continue to evolve, it's going to continue to get bigger, and show that passion and show that love. Maybe that will, can be a good trigger for people to start getting more in tune to it.
All right, speaking of that, the NBA has been working overtime, not only in China, but on the continent of Africa to popularize the game. Why do you think that is so?
It's like I said, the game is gonna be here when we leave this place. It's gonna keep going, and someone is going to be appointed. Someone is going to be appointed from the NBA, like Adam Silver is gonna be another person. That's gonna be another Adam. Is gonna continue to be someone that's gonna take the lead to continue to push the game forward. So. The NBA is they're really smart in knowing that this game is growing all over the planet, and more kids are starting to play. We know soccer is a big sport globally, and I think eventually the NBA would like to have that as well all over the world, like how soccer is.
All right, guess what? You know Luol Deng, right?
Of course, I know the world.
Luol Deng has basically adopted South Sudan, took South Sudan on his shoulders, and they qualified for the Basketball World Cup, a country that has been plagued by, insecurity, war, and he's made something special of that country. I think that should be applauded. Do you see yourself adopting an African country from an entrepreneurial standpoint, from a mentorship standpoint, and making them great?
I would love to go to Africa and give my knowledge, give my time, give my heart, give my love, give my passion towards the sport, but more importantly, to give myself to the people. I would love to be able to insert myself into a place that will allow me to insert myself. I think for myself, given my knowledge in basketball, I can definitely do a great deal, not just for one country, for multiple countries. I've been here in China for 13 years, and for myself, I see myself going there and helping other people learn the game and know more about the game and get my feedback from what I think about the game and share my knowledge.
So you're an icon in China. You could be an icon in Africa too.
Why not?
All right.
Why not?
So I wanted to ask you about your shoes, and that's a very, very big point. How would you get these affordable shoes to Africa? I know it's in your plans, but we talk of over commercializing your shoes and starting from the grassroots. What's more important to you and why?
It's more important that people have access.
Access.
And with the access comes the affordability. And if I can, which I will, if I can create affordability, which speaks from a price point, I think that's where you start at. I think the character and the makeup of why I created $14.98 shoes for people, I think that is evident from where I come from. I come from I come from poverty, from the slums. Some people say the slums, some see the projects. It's a mind frame though. It's an attitude. The difference between a co-op and living in the projects. And I think for myself, growing up the way how I grew up, not being able to afford and not having, and then being able to create something where people can have, that right there is what matters most. That's the blessing.
And like I said earlier in our first interview, Africa needs that. And if you got a statue,
connect me to the porter.
Yeah, you got a statue in China, you're definitely going to have a statue. You can have a whole monument. You have a whole monument up there in Africa if you can do that. We appreciate that. And finally, we want to talk about your professional career again. You transitioned from being a player to a coach. What do you know now that you didn't know in the earlier part of your career?
I can't just get on the court and fix it. You can't just say, okay, I can do that. I'll make the shot, or I'll make the pass, or I'll make the correction. Now you have to teach, and you have to get people to work at a certain speed and a certain pace in order for them to be able to do something consistently the way how you feel it needs to be done, which is at the highest level. And I challenge my players all the time for them to do it the right way all the time. Basketball is a game of mistakes. That's what basketball is. You're never gonna go out and play a perfect game. Nobody has. But the goal is not to try to be perfect, but to create permanence. To teach permanence, to teach over and over. This is the way how you do it. You're not gonna make every shot, but if you focus to make every shot, your percentages will be high.
Okay, shifting back to Africa, if you were to ever go to Africa, if you were ever to have a Stephon Marbury camp for one weekend in Africa for semi-professionals, what would you look for? If you were there for 30 minutes, what type of skills would you be looking for?
If you can pass, if you can dribble, if you can shoot, if you can read the game, how do you play defense? How do you defend? What's your motive when you're on the court? Some guys are scorers. Some guys do everything. Some guys play defense. Some guys rebound. Do you know what you're really good at? Are you trying to perfect what it is that you're really good at, when you're on the court, as far as doing it consistently over and over? Are you a well-rounded player? Can you play with anyone on the court? I look for everything on the basketball court. I love watching little kids play.
Right.
I like watching even the older guys that are 60, 70, 80 years old play when there's no movement going, but you can still see how they pass the basketball and why they made certain decisions on the court.
How important is that? Those basic fundamental skills in being successful.
It's the fundamentals are the most important part of the game. If you don't know the fundamentals of how to dribble, pass, and shoot, it's gonna be pretty hard for you to play the game at any level where it can be competitively fun to play with that person or with people.
Right.
Basketball is a very unique sport because it entails having 5 people on the same page at all times in order to create this energy and create this synergy where you go on the court and give yourself an opportunity to win.
Right. But now when you consider Africa and the continent, we don't play this game from a young age enough to be instinctive.
More playing, more. I mean, the NBA going there, that definitely helps. It gives, it have a name, a brand recognition in which they know players who have played the game, players that are playing the game, such as the greatest players that are playing right now, LeBron James. But you can't just use a guy like LeBron James. You got to use all of the different players. You got to use Hakeem Olajuwon, the Greek Freak, all of the people, descendants of Africa, right? So you gotta allow people to understand the makeup of the game, the history of the game.
Correct. But there's still hope in the content. Like I said, we don't play this game early enough to be instinctive, like you guys, ball handling and all that. But yet, we're still able to produce superstars like a Pascal Siakam, a Joel Embiid, a Giannis Antetokounmpo, Serge Ibaka. They didn't start early enough by NBA standards, but they still made it. Isn't that hope for
That's
millions of other
perseverance.
people
Of
on the
course,
continent?
Of course, it's perseverance. That's the love of the game. That's passion. The drive. All of those things that are needed in order for you to play the sport, because you need all of those different things in order to go on the court and compete. It has to be what you use Floyd Mayweather as an example. Hard work, dedication. You put that, you combine that, and you add your love for the sport because you play the sport because you love it. You can't play the sport just to play it. You have to have a passion for it. It has to be something inside of you that loves it.
And then also finally on that note, I'll use Masai Ujiri, for example. He's done very well for himself in the NBA. Coming from Africa to be president of basketball operations, those are bright lights to show Africans, I guess, that it can be done.
Why not? Like Russell Westbrook says, why not? Why can't it be you? Why can't it be you? Why can't it be me? Why not?
And finally, Stephon, when you win an NBA title, they call you world champion.
I don't agree with that.
You don't agree with that?
No.
You don't agree with that?
I've dated NBA champions.
The NBA champions.
They're not the world champions.
They're not the world champions. So basketball is developing really fast. Do you see one day we might probably have a global league? How exciting would that be?
I wish and hope that can one day happen, because then now you can see who is the best on the planet. That's the world, right? You can't say that the 2023 champions are the Los Angeles Lakers, the world. They're not the world champions. They're the NBA champions.
You said it on the money.
Yeah.
Stephon, I want to thank you for your time. I think that's the wrap, but we pretty much covered everything. And I don't know if you have any final words for CGTN and the continent of Africa. Tell them that you're coming at least.
Until I get there, Africa, I see you. Peace. Love is love.
Take care.